This is Self-Care You with Scott, and today we have a conversation with Allison Seller. A wife, a mother of 3 boys, and 13 years ago was blessed with a beautiful stepdaughter. Allison is the founder and owner of Health Academy, Inc. While focusing on nutrition, physical health, and mental health, Health Academy, Inc.'s goal is to achieve optimal transformation and well-being. So then why Allison? Well, let me tell you why Allison. Because she has a great business plan where it had back-to-back clients. But what was happening was she was getting burnt out. She wasn't paying attention to her time management, and she wasn't taking time to rest and relax. By shifting her mindset, Allison was able to take Health Academy, Inc. in the direction where she is no longer flirting with being burnt out. Rather, in 48 hours, made more than she had in an entire month. She has an amazing model to bring to the health and wellness industry, and she wants to share that conversation with our Self-Care You family. Today, we're going to have a great chat about time management, about burnout, about paying attention to the signs that your body is giving you. This is Self-Care You, and we're about to level up with Allison Seller, founder and owner of Health Academy, Inc. What's good, everybody? Thanks for sticking around for another episode of the Self-Care You podcast. And today we have an awesome conversation with Allison Seller. We took a little bit of time off over the summer because we had a ton of things going on. We're building some great programs in our community. So stick around to the end of this conversation and we'll get into all the programs that we started building, the partnerships that we have, everything that we've been working on. And we've definitely been leveling up, that's for sure. Get over to selfcareyou.net. Check out everything that we have going on there, whether it's a podcast or videos, whether you're trying to get some of the merch, whatever it may be. That's selfcareyou.net. But let's get right into the episode. Here we go. Today on the show, we sit down with Allison Seller. Allison, how are you doing today?
I am great. Thank you so much, Scott, for having me. I am honored to be on the podcast with you today.
Yeah, we appreciate it. You were telling me that you got a little bit of a storm where you are right now. So why don't you give our listeners a little bit of who you are and where you're from?
Yes, I am Allison Seller. I'm the owner and founder of Health Academy, Inc., and I am from Vancouver, British Columbia. And I was saying I am blessed to live on the water, and West Coast water is a little calmer than East Coast, but we've got a storm coming in today.
Yeah, we were talking just a little bit about, I've shared with our listeners, my wife's family's from Newfoundland and how that weather can just be completely different. I guess to start off, Allison, I'm really interested to hear, how you became a coach. What pushed you towards really wanting to be a coach and helping people and whatever that matter is that you get to?
Great question, loaded question. So I am going to take us back a little bit here because I got into the coaching industry, and I think like many coaches from a personal experience. I had hormonal challenges in my earlier years. The medical system told me that I would not likely be able to have children on my own. And I just wasn't going to take that for an answer. So I dove into nutritional coaching, hormonal coaching, and really looked at different alternatives to transform my own body and my own hormonal health. And in that, found this passion for the wellness industry as a whole. And it turned into this most beautiful business of helping other people do the same. So yeah, that's where it all began. It's taken many forms and it's evolved over the years to where I am today, it does look far different than when I started, but it was the love of, myself and wanting to transform my own body that then got me educated.
Yeah. I'm a coach, right? I'm a basketball coach and I'm a leadership coach. And there's just something about the understanding of giving. Right. When you're in that position, you have a need to want to give, whether that's education, some sort of knowledge that you have. I know from coaching, the basketball and our leadership classes, the goal is to try and share some of the things that I've encountered in the course of my life with others. And it sounds like you're pretty much along that line. You had a personal situation that empowered you, and then you start to empower other people, right?
That's exactly it. And I think the most powerful coaches and leaders are driven by personal experience and then wanting to share that with others so that they can, go through it with greater ease and or have the support in place for themselves.
Yeah, you know what? I get a crazy conversation sometimes with my parents all the time when I'm coaching, and I do it, volunteer basis. And they always tell me like, wow, I feel like you should be getting some money for it or whatever it may be. And I tell them all the time, like, yeah, the time and a place, but for what I'm doing right now, the monetization is letting individuals know what we're doing, building a program in our community, letting people know that you can have affordable programming and you don't have to be spending all your money on other things, quick fixes or whatever. It happens right in your community, and there's passionate people like you and me that are doing it, right?
That's exactly it. And that's what it's really all about. And, just even with that, there are certain people who investing into leadership, I mean, that's definitely the way to go. There's others that can take one sentence from something you post or share from a podcast, and it can be transformational.
Yeah, we go through what we call in our leadership course the gap philosophy. So, coming from a giving nature, being authentic, and then having a positive outlook. And we have that when we meet youth in the schools and things of that nature, and just really giving them something that might inspire them to do the same thing later on down the line, or maybe even that minute, or might just shift them. We hear conversations all the time from youth. It was like, what you just told me really shifted the way that I thought, really helped that click moment, if you will, right? And that's like people like you and I are giving that to our community so that we can try and support it. And that's it, right? That's letter G of gap philosophy, which is giving. I'm interested to hear you have this amazing story about burnout and how time management was what, well, I guess maybe felt like things were good, but really things were hurting you on the back end. And I'm interested to hear about your story. You want to tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's where I was just kind of referencing how my journey itself has taken so many turns and evolved. From the outside looking in, I was very successful within the coaching industry, within the wellness industry. By successful by industry standards, meaning I had back-to-back clients. I should back up a little bit from there. I had healed my own body, and I've got 3 children of my own, 2 stepchildren. So I've got beautiful big family. And I was running my business, running a business. You have 5 children. I've got a husband, got back-to-back clients. The wellness industry is set up where you primarily sell your time for money. So you say yes, right? You say yes to early morning clients. You say yes to noontime. You say yes to later. And you say yes to some of the many of the holidays.
Right.
And, again, there's this perception that you're successful. You even challenge yourself, like, this is what you asked for. This is what you hoped for. You're transforming people's lives. And it is really amazing. But I kept having this rooted feeling that the life that I was building was just not aligned with the lifestyle that I had pictured for myself, the lifestyle that I pictured for my children and my relationships. So it was a really, huge aha moment in my life when I recognized that I was becoming unhealthy as a leader in health. I was becoming unhealthy in my time management. I was becoming unhealthy, like I said, in my relationship, my marriage. And I was becoming an unhealthy parent. When your children ask you to do something and you're like, hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on.
Yeah.
Thought, man, like, this is just not what I envisioned for, again, myself or my family.
Yeah, sometimes it takes a lot to, like, less is more sometimes,
Yes,
right? And
yes.
and I've learned, and I'm sure you're going to get into it here, just how you came out of there and kind of pushed through. But right now in this pocket, I've definitely gone down the road where I've learned a few different times about less is more, or being able to
Mhm.
say no. The importance of saying no to something that you can't fulfill at 110. That's how I believe.
Yes.
I'm doing speaking engagements, and I have the podcast, and I have our organizations that we're running, and I can't just say yes to something unless I truly believe that I can give 110 to it. And if I
Yes.
can't get 110 out of me to give to something that I'm trying to grow, then you really got to try and reevaluate, right?
That's exactly it. And what I was also starting to recognize was the decisions I was making then at that time, as much as I could have spun the story and told myself I'm, saying yes to all of the people, I was saying yes to the money out of more of a fear mindset. If you don't say yes, they're going to go away. You have to take everybody. This is just what the industry is.
Right.
And so I really recognized I was being driven by the wrong motive. I was, when I got into this industry, I was so driven by just helping and sharing, and you can make these significant changes and have control over those for your own body and whatever that kind of space is for you. But I really was quick to recognize, or maybe not so quick, but to recognize that my motives had shifted somewhere along the line. And I won't say again that it was necessarily just money, money, money to get, but it was money, money, money in the sense of I wouldn't get any more if I didn't say yes to every opportunity or a client in that case that was coming into my business. And, you said it there as well. If you can't give 100%, there's no way any coach can be their best, even 4 or 5 hours straight, never mind 10 to 12 hours. You just can't, even if you're amazing.
No, but it becomes exhausting, right? Like driving the car at 110 kilometers an hour all day long, no breaks. You know what I mean? Like sooner or later, that consistency will wear on you. You're not built for that, right? And that's a different type of, our bodies aren't built to just like wake up in the morning and be bang, 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 like locked in completely. That's why sometimes when you hear, people go to, maybe they have workshops or something like that, and they go home and they're like, man, I'm tired. It's because your brain's been activating all day long, and it's not used to just be locked in all day long like that. You know what I mean? It needs some time to rest and recover. So how did you get to it? Like, did you see some signs and things, or did you have like an aha moment, or what was it that really like identified to you, okay, listen, I need a shift here?
Yeah, no, I mean, it was definitely creeping up on me, but there was a moment in time, in that moment where my son was in a school performance, and I was so excited to be at the school performance, but I had a client, and shameful, I chose what I had confirmed with that client appointment. I hadn't blocked my calendar. And I said to my husband, okay, you have to go and watch him, and please like video and take pictures. And I was sitting then at my desk because this was a virtual meeting that I had. And I was sitting at my desk, and it's now 5 after the hour, 10 after the hour, 20 after the hour. And I thought, oh my gosh, this person didn't even show up for the meeting. And here I am missing an important moment of my child's life. And it wasn't shame on that person. It was shame on me.
Right.
And I just thought, like, something's got to give here. This is creating, like I said, it's unhealth for myself, but this is not the example or even that I wanted for my children or the parent I wanted to be. So it was big. It was a big moment.
Yeah, like that. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I just kind of jump in. Like, I agree with you. Like, I'm over here shaking my head. Like, yeah, like I totally understand what you mean. Like, I can find myself sometimes in this whole world of my organization that I've created and everything, and literally lock away and be like 4 or 5 hours deep and come out of the hole and be like, holy, right? But to me, my passion is driving me. I got to put all this work in because I know what the next step is and the next goal is, or the next client is, or whatever it may be. But to everything outside of that understands the passion like I do, it can deteriorate, right? Like it really can break down relationships. You can get tired, you get exhausted, and you don't even know it. It's silent, right? So good for you to be able to identify it. It's really a hard quality. I recently got the ability to understand mindset from a mindset coach that I have, and I go through some regular things to check in to make sure I'm just not overworked, overdone, or my relationships are just draining out, right? So burnout, right? What does it look like coming out of that? You've identified it, you understand that there's an issue. There's still work to be done, obviously, to get it out of there and start moving in the right direction because you want this to be profitable. Clearly, that's why you're taking clients over and over. So what was the next step from there?
Yeah. So that was a Friday. And I said to my husband when he got home and he comes in, and I was crying, and I'm not someone who cries a lot. I don't share my emotion that way necessarily. So he's like, uh-oh, like what's going on? Yeah. Something's up. And I just said to him, you and I need to go and sit down together this weekend, and we need to figure some things out, because this isn't how we envisioned it. And we just paused and actually looked at each other, and I didn't need to say any more than that. And he just said, okay, Saturday, this time, like, perfect. So we went to a restaurant and we just shared with one another what we want to see our lifestyle look like, what we want to see in regards to how we work, how we serve, how we give, how we interact, just the kind of, again, parents. And we just walked all through that with one another. And that same dinner, I say that we burned down our existing business. And of course, metaphorically speaking,
Yeah.
we did. We burned down our existing business that Saturday night. And I do have a business background as well. We talked about how to structure things differently, but structure it in how, again, we want to serve. It's like, what would it look like if we were the best coach, in the sense of the best we could be, in the sense of energy, our give? What would it look like if we had the flexibility and freedom to say yes to our children when they needed us the most? And we had conversation around that, and we rebuilt an offer that night, a program structure that night. We got really crystal clear on the problem we solve for our clients, which is essentially one big problem. And we rebuilt our business that evening. And the Sunday, I said, oh my gosh, I'm going to go work on it tomorrow. And he's like, no, you're not. Like, tomorrow's Sunday. That's the whole point. Neither of us are going to do anything. We're going to go hang out with our family, and we're going to start Monday morning with the new offer. And 10 a.m. that Monday morning, we actually generated more income. But I will say this very clearly, with the most amazing quality of clients by 10 a.m. that morning than we typically did in a month. And we also did really well. And our hours now instantly were more than cut in half.
That's pretty amazing to see. Like, there must have been some sort of struggle, right? Like, for Self-Care You and the Self-Care You podcast, we have these conversations. So maybe we could try and answer a question for somebody who's listening, or I'm interested to know about that struggle, like coming from the norm, which is, go, 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 I'm going to burn out, to moving into what is going to be a slow pace, which I'm sure for 99% of us, we're just like, this isn't going to work. Like, you know what I mean? I'm going to work less and I'm going to do this differently. And there must have been some anxiety. Did you have some?
Oh my goodness. Yes, I did. And I'm a self-proclaimed overthinker. And I can't say, even today, we're years in, again, a new business model, and a business model now that I share in another evolution of the business. But I worry. I do worry.
Yeah.
It's something I need to work on. It's something that I need to pay attention to. It's in an industry where you are a solopreneur, you're entrepreneur, you're creating something of your own, you're responsible for what comes next. And we can let that, the enemy come in and kind of steal from us. There's nothing coming tomorrow. There's nothing more.
Right.
And I transformed my business. Yes. But the mindset didn't catch up with the business model, and the mindset is still catching up. Right. The mindset is still evolving and growing, and having to self-check. I can go back to old habits very easily. And I do often go back to old habits, but again, recognizing, and for me, it's a question I ask always, which is life versus lifestyle.
Right. It's amazing. It's amazing. I'm sorry that you went that way. I felt like I wanted to just mention, like, I was already going to ask about self-checks, but like this is one of those things that you can tell someone's really genuine about it when they just bring up what you're about to ask, but I've done enough of these podcasts. I understand, like, that the how to transition from point A to point B and what you do. And those self checks are really, really important. And I'm glad to hear you say, that you know what it looks like, that you can check. Sometimes you do slip because we're all not perfect, right? We all slip into our own routines or our own habits or whatever it may be. But yeah, the importance of self checking, just for our listeners, like making sure that whatever you're coming through, whatever that peaks and valley is, and you're starting to come out of there and you're starting to peak, you got to make sure that you check and you make sure that you're not letting the old habits creep back in there. I'm sorry. I really felt like I just had to share that one point. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I appreciate even, that you're able to resonate and your audience is able to resonate. You said the words there, like routines and habits, and absolutely. But I also see it as deeper than that. It's old beliefs, right? And those old
Hmm.
beliefs don't just shift overnight. And when, we've believed something for quite a long time, like you need to work really hard, or you need to be working, 12-hour days, or you need to be in a certain model, um, then it's hard to just shift from those. And even though it's worked for you, even though you've seen success, you've still done something else longer.
Yeah, it's a pretty amazing thought process. And I think amazing to have you share that with our listeners, because it's one that I think a lot of people just ignore, right? And then they just get into this habit when then what happens is depression starts to creep in. And then before you know it, you've lost everything, right? So I'm really interested though to hear about Health Academy Inc., like 2.0, if you will, I guess. Right now
Yes.
we broke it down. We got it rephased. I want to hear about the good things that you've been doing. I want to hear about how that became easier for you, and maybe you could tell our listeners a little bit about like the actual work that you're doing to help people in your community.
Yes, absolutely. So I love that you call it 2.0, and it is. We're always evolving. Our business is always evolving. We, as I mentioned, we're able to transform our business in the health and wellness space, and, just really working with some incredible clients, and, seeing some really, really important transformations happen. We did a lot of work within, diabetes. We did a lot of work in heart disease and helping people transition off medications and just having really significant impacts. And again, blessed to have been doing that work. But there was another then moment for me when I'm in a coaching space. So, a lot of coaches, you communicate with throughout the industry. And again, seeing so many coaches burning out, so many wellness experts burning out. And it was a secondary moment again where I thought, oh my gosh, like off the side of my desk, I'm telling them, you got to restructure, you have to just kind of find that space where it's your expertise and offer this result. And I went down like the rabbit hole with them, really sharing how to do it, but I didn't have a platform or a really, an offer for them and being able to share that so that they could also do it. Otherwise, it was just me blabbing on.
Right.
So there was this moment then, it's how do I reach more people? How do I reach more people? Because again, I could see the transformations in my clients' lives in this current version of how I was working compared to the previous. I thought the previous was good, didn't compare. How do I reach more people? I reach more coaches. If I can reach more coaches and again, help them transform their business, now again, they're being able to honor themselves, perform at a higher personal standard without, again, getting into the spiral of how the industry was set up. Now I'm reaching more people through them, but I'm also then helping to transform coaches' lives, because from personal experience, like my entire journey, that's now what was driving me. So Health Academy Inc. 2.0, we work with coaches. We work with coaches and helping them, again, move away from selling time for money and move into selling what I reference as results-based programs. So really identifying their area of expertise. Everybody has that thing that you might be good at, a handful of things, but you're in that industry for a reason. And there's something that really lights a fire under you and makes you excited. And when we are able to then package up a result, we're able to step away from these sessions or this long list of deliverables that positions us then as a stare and compare to our, quote unquote competitors. And I cannot tell you, like, it lights me on fire every single day that somebody says to me, oh my gosh, like I just worked from another country, or I was at my child's event.
Mm-hmm.
I need to miss it. Like
Yeah. This is why
lights
we're here, right? These are the
yeah,
moments. Like we
it
don't,
is.
I tell, a lot of people that I do work with, I just actually have I kind of get the same feeling you do, but I get it like a little bit differently in the sense of the other day I had one of my basketball players text me. He's like, Coach, I'm over here doing a co-op at this elementary school, and this kid's walking around with a Level Up Living shirt. And I was like, you know what? You go up to that kid, you dap him up, and you tell him Coach Scott says what's up. Like that's the amazing feeling is seeing like a little dude walking around understanding what we're talking about and trying to forge our community. Like that's the monetization. And if you're doing it for the right reason, the right why, then I truly believe that you will be backed by financials, but through and through, so you can continue to offer good programming and that you won't have to worry about it. It's really about the consistency and the quality of your program, right?
It is. And I love what you said there too. If you're doing it for the correct what and why, then how everything comes together from that space, you can't even possibly create it yourself. Like there's a magic that happens there. I always say, what, why, and give are the three things that you really need to know. And then the how magically creates itself, it presents itself. So
Yeah.
just really understanding those 3 points,
It's key, right? It's like
it's
these little things are like keys to success, and that's why it's great having conversations with other people, from across our country. Like I'm in Toronto, you're over in Vancouver, and having our listeners be exposed to really what is a great leadership coach, a great business coach, someone who is teaching you a little bit of what they do best, right? And so I appreciate you being here today. I wanted to ask you a little bit about what self-worth means to you.
Oh, and that's a deep question. Self-worth to me is self-worth to me is really the word legacy is used a
Yeah.
lot, and I think it has interpretations. Um, but when I think of legacy, I think of the movement that has to happen in the background
Mm,
before the legacy becomes, right? It's a
right.
movement. And for me, self-worth is, am I leading in a way, in a manner that would really produce such a legacy? Am I moving and leading in a way that I have a hashtag that I just always use, and it's lead with love. Am I leading with love? Am I leading with always doing what, and we're not always going to do what's right, but am I always doing something with leading with love? Have I come from that place?
Right.
So for me, self-worth is really, it's the journey to the legacy. It's the
Yeah.
doing, it's the giving, it's the producing, and it's knowing that I've done all that from a place of love.
I love it. Journey to the legacy. That's exactly where I was kind of going. I think from our conversation, I can tell your self-worth is strong. You understand what it is you're trying to get to. You're passionate about what you're about, and you're not afraid, right? Like, because that's when you know too, like saying no to money really means that you're putting a checkbox on their self-worth, right? You
Mhm.
understand what it is I'm trying to do here, right? Like my self-worth is so strong that I'm willing to protect it from what can, buy me food or heat my house or whatever it may be. But I got it. Like my self-worth understands directly what I'm trying to do on this earth. And I think that's a quality that you have, which not many people have.
Thank you. I genuinely appreciate that kind comment. And it really is something that I hold very valuable. And I've got, just in my own home, I've got eyes watching me, right? And I always
Yeah.
say, if I can raise genuinely kind humans, then I've done a really great job.
Yeah, yeah, right. Because you never know, and they're looking. We talk about role models all the time, right?
Mm,
They're so important. The things you're doing in your life that you don't even know, right?
yes.
Allison, I'm really interested then. If you had a chance, and we ask this question to all our guests, if you had a chance to sit down with 15-year-old Allison, what advice would you give her?
I would tell 15-year-old Allison to follow what she knows. I would tell her to follow what she knows, because I can tell you that the only times I've really gone off track is when I've gone against what I know, when I've gone against what an intuition, a knowing. And that doesn't mean not to listen to leaders who have gone before us or people who are, positioned to support us. But anytime again, I have diverted, it's been based on somebody else's belief, somebody else's interpretation of something, and it wasn't my own. So I would just say, trust yourself.
Yeah, because it's amazing. We had this conversation about the gap philosophy like earlier in our conversation, right? And I told you about the giving nature and obviously positivity, but that really checks being authentic, right? Really just be who you are, trust your judgment, don't be impacted by the outside noise. If you know the way you're going, trust it, right?
Yeah.
And really come from a spot of humility and chasing what it is that you're trying to get to. I love it. Allison, how about you give everybody your information? They can get in touch with you and Health Academy.
Yes, thank you so much. So www.healthacademyinc.com. That is the website. I am on Instagram, where I'm very present at Allison Seller, ALLISONSELLER. I love having conversations. I love connecting. I love expanding, all of that great stuff. So the more that we can, again, reach out a hand to each other, the more we can support each other and relationships are built. So please connect with me.
Appreciate you being on the show. It's Allison Seller from Health Academy Inc. Thank you again. Have a great day.
Thank you so much, Scott. I absolutely appreciate it. And I love what you do. I love the message you're bringing. So thank you.
Yeah, be well. A big thank you goes out to Allison for jumping on to the podcast and sharing with our listenership. The Self-Care U family appreciates having good people like Allison come on to the podcast and really share life lessons that they've gone through. So thank you for that. As mentioned earlier, we took some time off over the summer with Self-Care U and we started building our programs. And we've started to really roll out a bunch of our programs that are all underneath the banner of affordable community programming. So we've offered our House League basketball program, which is about $50 for a whole season. We've offered our Level Up Leadership program for the summer months in our elite basketball camps, where we saw about 30 of the top basketball players in the community come out and work on their skills at an affordable rate. And we also started our club called True North Elite. We've been doing tons of work here, but really the most important thing is our Level Up Leadership program. We've really been working on that. We're having conversations with school boards and coming in and seeing how we can try and impact youth. A big thank you goes out to Big Brothers Big Sisters, the Rotary Club of Curtis and Bowmanville, for all their support, for funding us for a lot of our initiatives with our programs. And we've been after it, that's for sure. So remember, get over to selfcareu.net. Check out everything that we have going on. If you're looking for some merch, you can get it there. Thanks for all the support. I know I saw the emails. We definitely saw the messages. When's the podcast coming? So thank you for your patience as we just kind of worked through what we were going through and building our program. We wanted to make sure that we were leveling up at the right speed. So appreciate everything. This is Self-Care U, and we definitely leveled up today with Allison Seller.